Hi YouTube, it's Monica. So I'm going to do another cooking video for you guys. I'm going to show you a real simple, kid-friendly, grown-up friendly recipe. It's a one-pan, so it's a one-panner. So I'm going to show you guys how I make my mama's Dorito Casserole. So if you guys want to see how I do it, then keep watching. Okay, for this recipe you are going to need 1 can of Rotel, 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, 2 cans of kidney beans. They can be the dark red kidney beans or the light ones. It does not matter, your preference. You're going to need some shredded cheese. I have just 2 cups here. I'm not sure if I'll use the whole thing or not. It just kind of depends on if I'm in a cheesy mood or not. And then you will need 1 regular size bag of Doritos and then 1.5 pounds of hamburger. So I went ahead and turned our eye on to about medium-high heat. I went ahead and put the hamburger meat in the skillet, and I went ahead and broke it up with my flat little spatula. I said it in another video. These are from the Paula Deen collection, and I find working with meats, these are really great for especially breaking up like the hamburger meat, chicken, whatever it may be. I find that it works very well. With the hamburger meat, you can, if you don't really like Mexican food or even spicy food just in general, you can just stick with the ground beef and some salt and pepper. If you do like Mexican food and you want to try something a little bit different, you can also add a packet of taco seasoning in your meat once you cooked it. That's good too, so just a couple options for you there. So we're just going to keep breaking this up into small pieces so we don't have any big chunks and it cooks thoroughly. I'm going to keep working on this meat and then we'll check back to our meat on medium heat. It's looking good, it's just cooking away, so while that's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and go cut my onion and start opening my cans, my canned beans and stuff to get it ready for when this is done. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and start chopping my onion. I'm pretty sure everyone knows how to cut an onion. If you don't, well, here's a quick little rundown. You're just going to cut the little top off right here. Discard that, you don't need it. Go ahead and cut it in half. Make sure you leave this part right here, which I call its little hair, which is not really hair, but you know what I'm saying. Keep that part intact. Go ahead and peel off the outer layer of the skin. And I have a real bad habit of making like a little pile, especially when it's like potatoes or onion or whatever, until I'm done, just because I don't like to walk back and forth so many times. So we're just making a little pile like that. Move that one down and see how we have just the onion like so. Alright, so put it back on your cutting board. Now, I hate those little skin pieces. You can cut it this way or you can just cut it this way. So I'm going to show you guys how I cut it this way. You're just going to cut it into lines, kind of like little parking spots. Like so. And then we're going to turn it and then we're going to go this way and cut. See how it's all nice and chopped up into pieces for us? So with this recipe you are going to use half an onion. I use just a white onion. If you want to go for a purple onion, that is totally fine. Okay, now we're at the ends and you just cut that little piece off and you're good to go. I like to just run my knife through it real quick just to make sure that I have them in small pieces, just because I do have kids that will be eating this and they're not big onion fans, but I find that if it is in small chunks like this, they're more likely to eat it. Alright, I'm just going to take this one off and set it over here to the side, take that little skin off, and I hate those little skins. And then I'm just going to dump it in my bowl. So I'm just checking on the hamburger meat, and as you can see, it's browning up quite nicely. There's still some red chunks in there, So it still has a few more minutes. So we're just going to stir it around so all of them get a chance to get cooked thoroughly. And then we're going to go back over there and finish opening our cans. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and start out with opening up our cans. We're just going to start opening, this one just has a pull top on it, the cream of mushroom. This should come out just one big clump. And of course tonight's the night that it wants to be stubborn. Okay, well if it doesn't, use a spatula. We'll just use the spatula and force it out. Just go around the can like so. And you're just going to put it in the same bowl that you put your onions in. If you do not like onions, feel free to leave those out. But I definitely prefer this recipe with the onions. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and start opening up these 3 cans right here, the kidney beans and the Rotel. Alright, now that we have opened all of these cans, we're going to drain the juice from the kidney beans. Leave the juice for the Rotel just so it's a little more manageable and the meal is not quite so dry. So we're going to go ahead and dump these off and then I'll be back to show you what's next. Okay, now that we've drained the juice off of the kidney beans, we're just going to go ahead and dump them in the bowl with the onion and the cream of mushroom. Let's go ahead and dump that in there. And you go ahead and start mixing it up a little bit. You want to get all of the ingredients incorporated. If you like spice, or more spice I should say, like I said, if you're a spicy person, you can also add a can of green chilies to this, along with the Rotel, but just because, like I said, I have kids eating this, we'll skip that step. So I'm just going to keep mixing this up and then I'm going to go check the hamburger meat. Okay, it looks like our hamburger meat has thoroughly cooked. I don't see any pink or red pieces. So now we're just going to go ahead and turn the burner off and we're going to drain the hamburger meat because you don't want all that grease in your casserole. Right, so now we're just going to go ahead and add our hamburger meat into our bowl with all of our other ingredients. Alright, so I like to mix this up a little bit before I add the Rotel, just because I don't want it too soupy, but if I feel like it needs to be a little bit more movable, I keep meat out. Perfect. Anyways, if I feel like it needs to be more movable, I like to use some of that juice. But if it already seems like it's really good and moist, then I don't use the juice. So far, it looks like it's really good. Alright, now we're just going to go ahead and add the Rotel to the mixture. Just like so. And then we're going to keep mixing until all of these ingredients are nicely incorporated. I'm just going to mix this up and throw it all over my counter, and then I'll be back in just a couple of minutes to tell you what to do next. Okay, so before we start preparing all of the ingredients in our casserole dish, we're going to go ahead and turn our oven on to 350. That way our oven can go ahead and heat up as we're preparing the casserole. Okay, this is my favorite part. You're going to need at least a 9 by 13 baking dish. So first thing you're going to do is take a handful of your Doritos and you're going to lay them out in the bottom. They don't have to be, you know, exact. It's not like putting a puzzle together, but try to make sure the bottom of your pan is covered. I have seen some people crunch their chips, like they break them up. I prefer to keep them whole just because I love getting a big chip full of the mixture and the cheese and all that. It's just so good. It's almost like nachos. And nachos are always good. So just make sure you go around the edges like so. Just make sure everything is nicely covered. There's no open spots in the bottom of your pan. Alright, and now we're going to go ahead and add in a spoonful of the mixture. We're just going to take a spoonful, and then we're just going to sprinkle it just like that on top of the chips. Like I said, it doesn't have to be precise, just try to make sure the chips are covered as much as possible. I usually get, when I make it in this dish, I usually get about 2 layers of the chips and the meat mixture, and I top it again with some cheese, and then I just repeat the same step, almost like making lasagna. Just try to make sure it's all nice and covered. It's a really good hearty meal. It definitely fills you up. I haven't had any complaints from the kids or anyone else that has eaten this about still being hungry. You know, as my mama told me when I was little, if you leave my house hungry, it's your fault. You go away hungry, it's your fault. Alright, so now that we've got that covering our chips, we're going to go ahead and take our cheese. And I went ahead and opened the chip bag and the cheese bag so you guys don't have to hear that horrible sound. So you just sprinkle it all over the mixture, just like so. Ooh, that was a lot. Just covered all up. Alright, and then we're going to repeat the next step. Again with the Doritos. If you make it this way, you will use a whole bag of Doritos. If you prefer just to go, you know, with one layer on the bottom and not stack the layers, then you'll have some Doritos left over, but to me, the more the merrier. I love Doritos, and so do my kids, so we're just kind of like, you know, pile that baby up. Alright. And then we're going to go ahead and do the meat mixture again. I'm just going to kind of hold the bowl over it. Just spread it out. You can do this in any size pan, but just because there is me and 4 kids eating this, I just use the 9x13, which works really great. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and dump what's left of that in here. And yes, I am a bowl scraper. I will admit it through and through. I scrape the bowl. That was something that my mama taught me, was to scrape the bowl. It drives me absolutely bonkers when I'm watching a show on TV and they do not scrape the bowl. It is so wasteful. Alright, as you can see, we have got our next layer, and we're just going to go ahead and add the rest of the cheese. Just cover up all that meat mixture. Just want it real nice and cheesy. And yes, I'm dripping cheese all over my counter, but when you cook, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep everything spick and span unless you have somebody to come and clean it up for you, but that's no fun. That's why I cook. Every time you guys see me cooking, I'm in what looks like my PJs, and most of the time I am in my PJs, I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't like to get my nice clothes dirty, so I change before I cook. Alright, so that is it. You could, like I said, you could add another layer if you wanted to, but I'm going to leave it at this just because this is plenty for us, and we still have Doritos, which I'm not sure why there's quite so many other than the kids are not in here stealing them and I'm not eating them like I normally do. So I'm just going to go ahead and wait for my oven to beep. Alright, my oven has beeped, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this baby in. Stick it in. And you're going to go ahead and let this, it doesn't really have to cook because everything is pretty well cooked. You're just going to make sure that it heats all the way through and that your cheese is really nice and melted. So I'm going to leave this in here for about 10 to 15 minutes and keep an eye on it, and then we will come back and check it when it's done. Alright, as you can see, our casserole is done baking. So look at all that nice gooey cheese goodness right there. Alright, so I'm going to let this sit for just a couple of minutes before cutting into it so everything doesn't just get ripped all to pieces. And then I will show you the end product. Well, obviously you see the end product, but I will show you a nice presentation. Alright, here it is all up on our plate. Look how good that looks. You can see all the nice colors and textures in it. The beautiful red beans, the yellow chips, the cheese, even some of the little green peppers. Oh, that looks so good. I cannot wait to eat that. Well, that is my mama's Dorito casserole. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them below in the comment box. Make sure you hit the like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do, because I have lots more videos coming. Alright, I will talk to you guys later. Bye, YouTube.